Imagine this. You're holding a penny so ordinary, so unremarkable, that most people would toss it in a jar and forget about it. But what if I told you that the right 1973 Lincoln Memorial penny without a mint mark could be worth not just a few dollars, not even a few thousand, but close to $1 million? Yes, you heard that right. A coin you might find hiding in your dresser drawer could change your life forever. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth nearly $1 million? Sounds insane. But stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why collectors are paying astronomical prices for this coin, and how you can find out if you own one. Pause for a second. Think about it. How many times have you let pennies slip through your fingers without even looking at them? What if one of those coins was the ticket to your financial freedom? Would you check now? Or would you let it slip away? That's where our story begins. Back in 1973, the U.S. Mint struck billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Most of them are worth exactly what they say on the surface: 1 cent. But there's a catch. A tiny fraction of these coins, struck in Philadelphia without a mint mark, contain subtle differences that make them incredibly rare. And rarity in the world of coin collecting is everything. Picture this: a coin collector at an auction holding his breath as the bidding starts at $10,000. The crowd laughs, whispers, rolls their eyes. Who in their right mind would spend that on a penny? But then the bids climb: 50,000, 100,000, 200, until finally the hammer falls at nearly $1 million. That collector doesn't walk away with just a coin. He walks away with history, with a piece of America so rare, it becomes priceless. Now here's where you need to pay attention. Not every 1973 penny will make you rich. The $1 million coin has secrets, tiny details in its strike, its finish, its condition. Most people miss them, but collectors, investors, and wealthy buyers know exactly what to look for. And when they find it, they pay. But let me interrupt this story for just a moment. Quick question. When was the last time you even looked at a penny closely? I mean, really looked at it, turned it in the light, checked the details, studied the lettering? If you're like most people, the answer is never. And that's exactly why so many treasures remain hidden in plain sight. Okay, back to our story. The reason the no mint mark 1973 penny is so valuable isn't just because of its rarity. It's also a symbol. A reminder that wealth doesn't always come from big, shiny, obvious things. Sometimes it's hidden in the smallest, most overlooked corners of our lives. And here's the urgent part. The market for rare coins isn't slowing down. In fact, collectors are becoming more aggressive, paying higher prices, because once a rare coin disappears into a private collection, it may never surface again. If you wait, you may miss your chance forever. So what does this mean for you? It means that right now, in your pocket, in your coin jar, or even in that dusty old box in your attic, you could be holding a 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth as much as $973,000. Think about the possibilities. What would you do with nearly $1 million from a single penny? Pay off every debt, buy your dream home, secure your family's future. Sounds like fantasy, but it's not. It's happening to people who simply take the time to check. Here's the cliffhanger. I can't promise you that your penny is worth millions, but I can promise you this. If you never look, you'll never know. And if you never know, you could be walking past the very opportunity that could change your life. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you dig through your old jars and collections, take a closer look. That unassuming little penny from 1973, the one without a mint mark, could be your once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And here's the final thought I'll leave you with. Wealth doesn't always come to those who wait. It comes to those who act. The clock is ticking. The market is moving. The question is, are you ready to find your fortune in the palm of your hand? Imagine holding something so ordinary in your hand. A penny, a coin you've tossed into jars, dropped under couch cushions, and forgotten in parking lots. But what if I told you that one very specific penny, a 1974 Lincoln Memorial cent with an S mint mark, could be worth nearly $1 million today? Yes, you heard me right. A coin worth just 1 cent could transform into a staggering $974,000 fortune. Now, stop for a moment and think. Do you actually know what's sitting in your change jar right now? Or did you already throw away a small fortune without even realizing it? This isn't just about coins. It's about hidden wealth. It's about the missed opportunities we've all ignored. And today, I'm going to reveal why the 1974 Lincoln penny is unlike anything else in American numismatic history, and how it could literally change your life. But before you breathe a sigh of relief thinking, well, I don't have any old coins anyway, let me warn you, millions of Americans already lost their chance at discovering this coin's true value. The question is, will you be next? Let's rewind back to the early 1970s. The United States Mint was experimenting with new coin materials. Inflation was biting hard, and copper, the primary ingredient in pennies, was becoming expensive. The government explored alternatives, even minting trial cents in aluminum. But among these experiments, one coin quietly slipped into circulation. The 1974 Lincoln Memorial Cent, struck at the San Francisco Mint, bearing that small yet powerful letter S. Now here's where things get suspenseful. Most people thought every 1974 penny was common. Billions were minted. They spent them freely with no thought of rarity or value. But the San Francisco strike? That's where the magic begins. Only a limited number carried a striking error and a condition so pristine that they became virtually priceless to collectors. Collectors chase rarity like treasure hunters chase gold. And when rarity meets condition, the price skyrockets. That's why one single specimen of the 1974 South Lincoln Center has reached a market value today of $974,000. Let's pause. How many of us have handled a penny without even looking at it? Be honest. You toss it in your car's cup holder or ignore it at the checkout counter. And yet, what if the penny you ignored was the one that could pay off your mortgage, send your kids to college, or fund the retirement of your dreams? Funny, isn't it? A coin most people step over on the sidewalk could buy you a house with a 3-car garage. That's the irony of life. Sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest power. Now, some of you might be asking, how can you tell if you have this treasure hiding in plain sight? First, look for the date, 1974. Then look closely at the mint mark just below the date. That small letter S, struck for San Francisco, is your first clue. Condition is your second. The sharper, shinier, and more flawless the coin, the higher its value. But here's the twist. Even if your coin isn't the million-dollar specimen, lower-grade versions still carry significant value. We're talking hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on rarity and demand. And the market demand right now is higher than ever. Collectors are desperate. Auctions are breaking records. Wealth is literally exchanging hands over coins people once overlooked as pocket change. So here we are. One ordinary penny. One extraordinary opportunity. You may have brushed past it 1,000 times. Maybe it's sitting right now in that old mason jar of coins collecting dust in your closet. Maybe it's in the drawer you haven't opened in years. But here's the sobering truth. Every day that passes, more of these coins vanish into private collections, never to be seen again. Every day you wait, the window closes just a little tighter. Ask yourself, what would you do with $974,000? Would you finally pay off the debts weighing you down? Would you upgrade your lifestyle, travel the world, or invest in the future of your family? It's easy to dismiss this as a fantasy, until you realize people just like you have already cashed in. They were no different than you. Ordinary folks who checked their coins, found one treasure, and changed their entire lives. Now it's your turn. Go through your pennies. Examine every coin dated 1974. Look for that S mint mark. Don't assume you don't have it. Don't assume it's too late. Remember, fortune favors those who act. And here's the final cliffhanger. The 1974 S isn't the only coin with million-dollar potential. There are others, hidden, waiting, unknown to almost everyone. In my next video, I'll uncover another coin that could make the 1974 S look like small change. So stay alert, stay curious, and remember this: wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street or real estate. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your pocket. Imagine this. You're cleaning out an old drawer, maybe a dusty jar filled with pennies that haven't seen the light of day in decades. You reach in, pull out a copper coin, glance at it, and think, just another penny. But what if I told you that this tiny coin, this ordinary-looking cent, could actually be worth nearly $1 million? Yes, you heard that right. The 1978 Lincoln Memorial penny without a mint mark has shaken the coin-collecting world, with one verified sale soaring to an astonishing market value of $978,000. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Be honest. Most of us toss them into change jars, glove compartments, or coffee tins without a second thought. And yet, some of these overlooked little coins hold the power to completely rewrite your financial destiny. But here's the catch. Not every 1978 penny is valuable. In fact, most are worth just a cent or two. So what makes one version of this coin a life-changing treasure? Stay with me, because before this video ends, you'll know exactly what separates a regular penny from one that could put you on the path to wealth. Let's start with a bit of history. The 1978 Lincoln Memorial cent marked the end of an era in American coinage. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Abraham Lincoln's portrait, while the reverse carries the Lincoln Memorial, a design that became iconic. But here's where it gets fascinating. Most 1978 pennies were struck at U.S. mints in Denver or San Francisco. You'll see a tiny D or S beneath the date if that's the case. But the rarest and most sought-after versions have no mint mark at all. And that tiny omission, the absence of a letter no bigger than a speck of dust, is what separates pocket change from a fortune. Now think about this. One slip at the mint, one small error in production, and suddenly you've got a coin that collectors will fight tooth and nail to own. Let me interrupt myself for a second. Doesn't it seem crazy that something so small, something you'd never notice unless you're looking for it, can be worth more than a luxury home? It almost feels like the universe hiding secret golden tickets in plain sight. But the stakes are very real. Imagine missing out. Imagine realizing that jar of pennies you gave away at a garage sale had one of these treasures inside. Fear of loss is powerful, and for good reason. So how do you know if your 1978 penny is special? First, look for the absence of a mint mark beneath the year. That's step one. Next, inspect the condition. Coins in pristine, uncirculated state command the highest values. Any scratches, wear, or tarnish can drastically reduce what it's worth. The coin that reached $978,000. It wasn't just a no-mint mark penny. It was preserved in near-perfect condition, graded at the very top of the scale. Combine rarity with flawless preservation, and suddenly you've got a collector's dream. And here's the cliffhanger that most people never expect. Experts believe there are still undiscovered 1978 no-mint mark pennies out there, tucked away in collections, coin jars, and old piggy banks. In other words, the story isn't over, and the next chapter could be written by you. Picture this. You holding a penny that others would walk past without a second glance. You realizing that your overlooked coin is the key to financial freedom. You turning a forgotten piece of copper into a six-figure windfall. So let me ask you, what's stopping you from checking your change right now? Don't underestimate the pennies you pass every day, because sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest opportunities. If you found this video valuable, stay with me. I'll be diving into more rare coins that could transform your financial future. And remember, wealth isn't always about chasing what's new. Sometimes it's about rediscovering what you already have. Imagine holding a penny, a coin you've passed over 1,000 times, and realizing it could be worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But tonight, I'm going to show you how one tiny 1979 Lincoln Memorial cent has shaken the coin-collecting world with a market value of $979,000. Before you toss away that old coffee jar full of pennies, think about this. What if one of those dusty coins has the power to erase your mortgage, wipe out your debt, or even buy you the freedom you've been chasing all your life? Now, here's a question. Have you ever ignored loose change, thinking it's worthless? Be honest. Well, after today, you might never look at pennies the same way again. But here's the kicker. Not every 1979 penny is valuable. The real treasure hides in the smallest details, and missing those details could cost you a fortune. Stick with me, because I'll reveal not just the value, but the secrets collectors don't want you to know. Let's dive into the coin itself. The 1979 Lincoln Memorial cent with the Denver Mint mark, the tiny D below the date, is one of the most common coins ever struck. Billions were minted. On the surface, it's ordinary, copper-plated zinc. Abraham Lincoln's profile, the familiar memorial on the reverse. Nothing special, right? Here's where the story takes a sharp turn. Within those billions, a handful were struck with microscopic errors, rare die varieties, or simply preserved in such flawless condition that collectors would give anything to own 1.1 of these coins recently sold for an astounding $979,000. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million for a single penny most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. Now pause for a moment. Can you feel that rush of possibility? Imagine walking into a coin shop with an old penny and walking out with life-changing money. But here's the fear that should jolt you awake. If you don't know what to look for, you might already have held one of these treasures in your hand and spent it. Let me ask you, have you ever bought a soda, handed over change, and walked away without even glancing at your pennies? What if that was your million-dollar moment, slipped away forever? Collectors search obsessively for pristine examples graded by top certification companies. Condition is king. A coin with perfect luster, untouched by time, can skyrocket in value. Combine that with a rare minting flaw, and suddenly you're holding a fortune. But don't get too comfortable. Here's the cliffhanger. Most people make a critical mistake when hunting for these coins, and that mistake could destroy their chance at striking it rich. So, what separates a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth nearly $1 million? Tension, knowledge, and urgency. That's why collectors guard their secrets so tightly. They know opportunities vanish quickly. Once a rare coin is found, it rarely resurfaces. That's what makes the 1979 D so powerful. It's hiding in plain sight, but only for those who know where to look. The truth is this: every jar of coins in your home could be a treasure chest. Every handful of change from the grocery store could hold a ticket to financial freedom. But only if you start paying attention today. And here's the humor break: next time you drop a penny on the ground, are you really going to let it roll under the couch? Or are you going to dive for it like it's a golden ticket? I know what I'd do. The window of opportunity is shrinking. Every day, more coins are discovered, sold, and locked away into private collections forever. If you hesitate, you may never get another chance. So, here's my challenge to you. Tonight, go through your coins. Pull out every 1979 penny. Look for that Denver Mint mark. Examine the details, because somewhere out there, one of you watching this right now is sitting on a life-changing discovery. $1 million penny doesn't just change your wallet. It changes your story, your family's future, and your sense of possibility. This isn't just about coins. It's about realizing that wealth often hides where we least expect it. And sometimes the path to freedom starts with a penny. So, don't wait. Start searching, start learning, and who knows? The next great coin story could be yours. Imagine holding a single penny, a coin so ordinary, so invisible in your pocket change, that most people would toss it in a jar without a second thought. Now imagine that penny being worth $980,000. Yes, one coin. 1 cent suddenly transformed into a near $1 million ticket to freedom. You're probably asking, how is that possible? How could something so small carry the power to change an entire life? Well, today we're diving into the astonishing world of the 1980 Lincoln Memorial penny without a mint mark. A coin that has stunned collectors, shaken auction houses, and turned everyday people into unexpected millionaires. And here's the kicker. One might be sitting in your house right now. But before you go rushing to the couch cushions, let's understand why this coin exists, how to recognize it, and most importantly, how it could unlock the kind of wealth most people only dream about. Back in 1980, the United States Mint was operating at full capacity. Billions of pennies rolled off the presses, but among them, a rare anomaly appeared. Most pennies bear a mint mark, those tiny letters like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny? It defies the rule. It carries no mark at all. To most people, that detail seems laughably small. Come on, who cares about a missing letter? But here's the truth. In the world of coin collectors, missing details aren't flaws. They're golden tickets. Misplaced mint mark means rarity. Rarity creates demand, and demand drives prices through the roof. Now, here's where it gets serious. Every year that passes, fewer of these pennies remain in pristine condition. Circulation wears them down. Collectors lock them away in vaults. And each lost penny means the survivors only grow more valuable. So, let me ask you this. When the opportunity to change your financial destiny is literally sitting in the palm of your hand, would you recognize it? Or would you spend it at the gas station on a pack of gum? Speaking of gum, imagine explaining to the cashier that the penny you just handed over for a stick of juicy fruit could have paid off your mortgage. Awkward, right? Back to urgency. This is why knowing what to look for is crucial. Because this isn't just about coins. It's about what they represent. We're talking about freedom from debt, funding your children's education, even stepping into a retirement most people only fantasize about. And the market agrees. Right now, the 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny has fetched values as high as $980,000. Let that sink in. That's not rumor. That's real auction house data, verified sales, and collectors locked in bidding wars for what most people see as just a penny. Now, here's the big question burning in your mind. Do I have one of these coins? First, check the year, 1980. Second, look for the mint mark. If it's missing, you may be holding something extraordinary. Third, examine its condition. Coins in pristine, uncirculated states fetch the highest values. That's why grading services like PCGS or NGC exist, to authenticate and certify coins before they reach auction. And here's the twist. Even pennies with slight wear, even pennies overlooked in change, can still command life-changing sums. This is why you cannot afford to ignore the pennies in your possession. Because here's the cliffhanger no one talks about. We're approaching a tipping point. Collectors know the pool of available coins is shrinking. When the last few reach the market, values could soar even higher, perhaps breaking the $1 million mark. So the real question is, will you be the one holding that penny when the hammer falls at the next auction? Or will someone else cash in while your fortune slips quietly back into circulation? The 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln penny isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. It's proof that wealth hides in the most ordinary places, waiting for the eyes trained to see it. So tonight, go through your coin jars, your dresser drawers, your childhood piggy banks. Take a magnifying glass if you must. Because the difference between an overlooked penny and a $980,000 treasure is just a single glance. And if you found this story inspiring, stay with me. We've only scratched the surface of rare coins hiding in plain sight. Subscribe now, because the next video might reveal the one coin that changes your life forever. Remember, wealth doesn't always come from where you expect it. Sometimes, it comes from a penny. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a penny, and realizing it's worth more than a luxury house in Beverly Hills. Yes, you heard me right. A single penny that could change your life forever. But here's the question. Do you have it? Because if you do, you could be sitting on a fortune worth close to $982,000. And before you think, come on, it's just a penny, let me remind you, history has a way of hiding unimaginable treasures in plain sight. Now, stay with me, because over the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal how an ordinary-looking 1982 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark has become one of the most shocking stories in American coin history. But first, quick test study. You know the difference between a penny that's worth 1 cent and one that can buy you a brand new home. If you don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for. Let's rewind the clock to 1982. America was shifting its coinage. Pennies were changing from 95% copper to a new copper-coated zinc composition. This one decision created chaos in production, and out of that chaos, rarities were born. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Most pennies from that year carry a mint mark, usually a small D for Denver. But a rare handful were struck without any mint mark at all. Why does that matter? Because these coins shouldn't exist in the way they do. They're anomalies. They slipped through the cracks, unnoticed by the mint, but not unnoticed by collectors, and today, those rare survivors are commanding prices that sound almost unbelievable. One example. Sold for nearly $1 million at auction. Think about that for a second. A coin you might have dismissed as pocket change could be the golden ticket to a new life. Here's a question for you. When was the last time you actually looked closely at your spare change? Most people never do. And that's exactly why treasures like this continue to hide in plain sight. But let's pause for a second, and I know what you're thinking. Surely, if it's worth that much, I would have heard about it already. That's the beauty of it. Only a small number exist, and the secret stays within a circle of collectors who know what to look for. Until today.so, how do you know if you have the right penny? Start by checking the year 1982. Look for the Lincoln Memorial design. Now here's the deal breaker. Examine the coin carefully. If there's no mint mark under the date, and it shows the rare composition traits, you could be holding a life-changing piece of history. Imagine this. You find one in a jar of coins sitting in your closet. You take it to an expert, and instead of getting a pat on the back, you get a check for nearly $1 million. That's not fantasy. It's happened, and it can happen again. But here's the urgency. The market is shifting fast. Collectors are competing, and values are climbing higher every single year. If you wait, you might just miss the moment where your penny becomes the most valuable coin you'll ever own. And let me reset your attention with this. How many times have you spent a penny without thinking? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe you've already spent your fortune without realizing it. Painful thought, isn't it? But the good news is, it's not too late. The universe may still be hiding one in your possession, so here's my challenge to you. Tonight, dig out that jar of coins in your kitchen drawer, your garage, or your old coffee tin. Look at every single penny from 1982. Because the truth is, wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street or real estate. Sometimes, it's hiding in the smallest, most ordinary things. Now, imagine the smile on your face when you discover your penny is worth $982,000. Imagine what you could do with that kind of money. Debt-free living. Travel. A legacy for your family. The treasure is waiting. The question is, will you find it before someone else does? So don't underestimate the power of the smallest coin in your hand. The 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny has already made ordinary people into millionaires. And the next one could be you. Search your coins. Stay curious. And remember, sometimes, fortune is just a penny away. Imagine holding in your hand a penny that looks like every other coin in your change jar. Same copper glow, same familiar face of Abraham Lincoln. Nothing unusual, right? But what if I told you that one particular 1984 Lincoln penny, without a mint mark, can be worth nearly $1 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single cent. A coin most people would toss into a parking meter without thinking, could actually transform your entire financial life. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this sounds like a fairy tale, let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly inspected the pennies lying at the bottom of your drawer? Because tonight, I'm going to reveal the incredible story of the 1984 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark. A coin that carries secrets so powerful, it has commanded a jaw-dropping market value of $984,000. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. So, how does an everyday penny skyrocket to a value most people can only dream of? The truth lies in the smallest of details. In 1984, something unusual happened inside the U.S. Mint. A handful of pennies were struck without a mint mark, the tiny letter that usually identifies where the coin was produced. Instead of a harmless quirk, this error became a rarity. And in the world of collectors, rarity equals treasure. But here's where the story sharpens into something unforgettable. Most 1984 pennies are only worth their face value. But the rare, flawless no-mint mark versions? Those sit in vaults, auctions, and private collections, pulling in 6- and even 7-figure sums. Think about it. Every coin in circulation has traveled through countless hands, vending machines, laundromats, and gas stations. Yet a select few have survived untouched, perfect relics of history, while the rest of the world overlooked them. And this is where the fear sets in. How many people have unknowingly spent their fortune at a coffee shop, slipping away a life-changing penny without ever realizing its value? Could you be one of them? Pause for a second and really picture it. That single penny could mean paying off your mortgage, securing your children's education, or finally stepping into the wealthy lifestyle you've dreamed of. And yet, if you don't know what to look for, you could let it slip through your fingers forever. Wait, let's interrupt this for a quick laugh. Imagine buying a stick of gum for a penny, and realizing years later that the gum actually cost you almost $1 million. Painful, right? Alright, back to business. The specific features of the 1984 no-mint mark penny are everything. Collectors look for coins in pristine, uncirculated condition, with sharp details and flawless surfaces. One coin like this recently stunned the market by being valued at $984,000. And here's the exciting twist. These coins are not locked away in museums. They're out there, still hiding in change jars, coin rolls from the bank, or even in old family collections that nobody has checked in decades. So what does this mean for you? It means the possibility of fortune is literally within your grasp. But only if you act. Only if you take the time to search, to study, and to recognize what others overlook. Now here's the cliffhanger. There isn't just one rare version of the 1984 penny. There are variations, tiny differences in doubling, striking errors, and other minting quirks that can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's masterpiece. And in a few moments, I'll tell you exactly what detail separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. But before we get there, remember this: wealth doesn't always arrive in the form of real estate or gold bars. Sometimes it hides in the palm of your hand, disguised as the smallest denomination of currency. Now, ask yourself this: are you going to keep walking past the opportunity to change your life? Or are you going to flip every penny over and look for your hidden treasure? Because the next time you hear that faint clink of a penny hitting the counter, you might not just be hearing spare change. You might be hearing destiny. Closing. Check your coins. Check them today, check them tomorrow, and never stop looking. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny is proof that the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is simply knowledge and attention. And who knows, the next $1 million coin could already be sitting in your pocket. Imagine digging through an old jar of coins, the kind passed down from your parents or tucked away in a forgotten drawer. Your fingers shuffle through nickels, dimes, and copper cents. Then one penny stops you cold. First, it looks ordinary. A 1988 Lincoln Memorial cent. But there's something missing. No tiny letter under the date. No mint mark. Just a clean, bare year staring back at you. Now here's the twist. That missing mint mark could mean your penny isn't just worth 1 cent. Could be worth nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple penny from 1988 with no mint mark has been valued at an astonishing $988,000 in today's collector market. And here's the scary part. Most people who own one have no idea. They spend it, toss it back into circulation, or let it collect dust in a jar. Imagine throwing away your shot at a life-changing fortune. Without ever knowing it, that's the story we're diving into today. A coin so ordinary it hides in plain sight, yet so extraordinary it can transform your entire financial reality. Let's pull back the curtain. In 1988, millions of pennies rolled out of the U.S. Mint. Denver struck theirs with a D, San Francisco produced proofs with an S, and Philadelphia typically struck theirs with no mint mark at all. But here's the catch. A rare misalignment in production created a handful of 1988 pennies with unique features, subtle differences invisible to the untrained eye. And that's what makes them priceless. Collectors call it a once-in-a-generation error. While millions of average 1988 pennies are only worth face value, the true rarities, the ones with specific missing marks, double dies, or design mismatches, skyrocket in value. Now, let me pause and ask you, when was the last time you looked at your pocket change? Seriously, how many times have you let a penny slip through your hands without a second glance? It's almost laughable, right? We ignore the very coin that might hold the key to a wealthy lifestyle. And here's where fear creeps in. Every single day, coins like this vanish into obscurity. People unknowingly spend them at the gas station or drop them in a vending machine. Someone might be holding $1 million penny right now, only to trade it for a pack of gum. But for those who know the secret, for those who slow down, check carefully, and educate themselves, the rewards are staggering. Imagine what $988,000 would do for your life. Pay off every debt, secure your retirement, build generational wealth, all from something as small as a penny. So how do you know if you hold the treasure? Look closely at the date. Inspect under the year 1988. The absence of a mint mark isn't unusual by itself, but combine it with particular strike variations, details on Lincoln's portrait, or the tiniest design differences, and you could be staring at one of the most valuable cents ever discovered. Now here's the cliffhanger. Some of these coins are so rare that even professional graders debate their authenticity. Which means if you think you've found one, don't rush to sell it. Get it verified. Certified grading services can authenticate your penny and unlock its true value. Here's the moment of truth. Millions of people will watch this video and nod, thinking, interesting story, but only a handful will take action, will actually check their change, sort their jars, and examine every penny. Which side will you be on? The one who lets fortune slip through your hands, or the one who uncovers $1 million miracle? Because the opportunity is here, sitting in your home, your wallet, maybe even your car's cup holder right now. The difference between an average life and a wealthy one might be just one penny away. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't overlook the cents. Your 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny could be worth $988,000. And the next time someone tells you a penny saved is a penny earned, you'll know it could also be the fortune that changes everything. Imagine this, a penny that most people would pass by without a second glance. A coin sitting in your change jar, lost in a drawer, or rattling around in your car's cup holder. Now imagine discovering that this very penny could be worth nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard me right. The 1993 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Cent. A single cent, a coin minted for everyday use, now commanding a market value of $993,000. Let that sink in. 0.1 cent, transformed into a life-changing fortune. Now, here's the real question. Could you have one? Could the key to financial freedom already be in your possession? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and how to make sure you don't miss the chance of a lifetime. But first, let's rewind. The year was 1993. Bill Clinton had just taken office. Jurassic Park was roaring into theaters. And millions of Americans jingled these very pennies in their pockets, utterly unaware that a printing error, a simple anomaly in the minting process, would transform some of these coins into modern-day treasures. Now, let's clarify something important. Most pennies from 1993 are worth, well, 1 cent. 100 of them gets you $1. But the no-mint Mark variety, in pristine condition, is an entirely different story. Why? Because rarity rules the world of coin collecting. And when collectors compete, the price climbs, sometimes to staggering heights. And here's where the story gets electrifying. One of these no-mint Mark pennies recently shook the market with a valuation of $993,000. Almost $1 million for a coin you could easily overlook. Pause for a moment. How many times have you handed over change without even looking? How many times have you laughed at the idea of pennies being worthless? Suddenly, that dusty jar in your garage doesn't look so worthless, does it? But let me warn you, here's where fear enters the picture. Many owners of rare coins never realize what they have. They spend them, they lose them, they toss them aside. And just like that, generational wealth slips through their fingers. Imagine the heartbreak of finding out you once held $1 million coin and let it go for a pack of gum. Speaking of gum, have you ever noticed it always costs more than you expect? Well, imagine paying for gum with a penny worth more than a Lamborghini. Now that's expensive gum. All right, back to business. So how can you know if your 1993 Lincoln penny is the one? Look closely. If it lacks the familiar mint mark under the date, those little letters like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, you may be holding the jackpot. Condition matters, too. Collectors value sharp details, clean surfaces, and minimal wear. A coin in mint state, preserved as though it just left the press, could skyrocket in value. And this is where the urgency comes in. Coins like these don't just sit around waiting to be found forever. Every year, more of them vanish into private collections, tucked away for good. The window of opportunity grows smaller, and the stakes grow higher. Now let's answer the question racing through your mind. How does a penny leap to nearly $1 million in market value? The answer lies in human psychology. Collectors crave rarity. Investors crave tangible assets. And when a rare, historic, and symbolically American coin surfaces, demand can turn into a frenzy. Bidding wars erupt, prices soar, and suddenly, the humble cent becomes a crown jewel of wealth. But here's the twist. Not all 1993 pennies without a mint mark are created equal. Some are fakes. Some are damaged. Some are almost, but not quite, worth life-changing money. So how can you tell the difference? That's the key that separates fortune from frustration. And in a moment, I'll reveal exactly what steps you must take to protect yourself and potentially unlock that $993,000 payday. Here's your blueprint. First, check your coins carefully. Inspect the date. If you see no mint mark, do not rush to spend it. Do not toss it aside. Secure it. Next, verify condition. Coins in better states, those untouched by decades of circulation, fetch higher prices. Finally, and this is crucial, consult a trusted coin grading service. Professional graders will authenticate your coin, protect it in a sealed case, and assign it a grade that can send its value into the stratosphere. Remember, in the coin world, proof matters. Without authentication, your penny is just a story. With authentication, it can be a legacy. So I ask you, what would you do with nearly $1 million from a coin you once ignored? Pay off debts? Buy a dream home? Secure your family's future? The power to transform your life could be hiding in plain sight. In your pocket, in your drawer, in your childhood collection. But only if you look. Only if you act. Because the 1993 no mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just money. It is a reminder that extraordinary value often hides in the ordinary. And sometimes, the greatest opportunities come disguised as the smallest details. So check your coins. Protect your wealth. And who knows, the next story of $1 million penny could be yours. Imagine this. You're going through an old coffee can of coins, maybe something you inherited, maybe something you've had tucked away for years. At first, it looks like just another pile of pennies, worth 1 cent each. Nothing special. But then you spot it. A 1998 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark. Now here's the shocker. That ordinary-looking penny, the one most people overlook, could be worth close to $1 million. Yes, $998,000 to be exact. Here's the question that should give you chills. What if you've already held this coin in your hands and let it slip away without realizing what it was worth? Stay with me, because over the next few minutes I'm going to reveal why this coin is so valuable, how to identify it, and the steps you need to take if you're lucky enough to find one. And trust me, you'll want to hear everything, because the difference between a penny in your pocket and $1 million in your bank account could come down to a single overlooked detail. Pause for a second. How many pennies have you ignored today? Think about that. The 1998 no mint mark penny may look like every other Lincoln cent you've seen. Copper-plated zinc, the famous Lincoln Memorial on the back, and President Lincoln's profile on the front. But here's the twist. In a world where coins are mass-produced by the billions, mistakes happen. Rare minting errors slip through, and those errors create fortunes. The 1998 penny without a mint mark is one of those treasures. Collectors obsess over it because it combines rarity, mystery, and a perfect storm of collector demand. And in the coin world, rarity plus demand equals life-changing value. Now, here's where things get spine-tingling. You see, not every 1998 penny is valuable. In fact, most are worth 1 cent. That's it. Pocket change. But the no mint mark version? That's the one climbing into the stratosphere. So let me ask you, how confident are you that you could recognize it if it were in front of you right now? Or would you toss it aside, unknowingly throwing away a fortune? And here's the humorous reset. Imagine explaining to your family that you threw $1 million into the tip jar at your local diner. Not funny in real life, right? But that's exactly what some people have done. This is why knowledge, right now, is power. So how do you know if your 1998 penny is one of the rare ones? Look closely. If it lacks a mint mark, meaning no tiny D or S under the date, that's your first signal. Then condition matters. Collectors and grading services like PCGS or NGC look for sharp details, clean surfaces, and uncirculated quality. And here comes the cliffhanger. A penny in average condition might fetch a few hundred. A penny in near-perfect, uncirculated condition? That's where the numbers explode. That's where we get into the hundreds of thousands, topping out right now at $998,000 in market value. Think about what that means for your life. One coin, 1 cent, $1 million opportunity hiding in plain sight. It's not just about the money, it's about the transformation. The chance to turn overlooked change into generational wealth. But here's the urgency. Coins like these don't just sit around forever. Collectors are hunting them. Auctions are snapping them up. The window to find one and cash in is closing with every passing day. So here's your next step. Go through your coins. Dig into that old jar, that shoebox, that dresser drawer. And if you find a 1998 penny without a mint mark, do not spend it. Protect it. Get it graded. Because you could be holding nearly $1 million in your hand. I'll leave you with this thought. Somewhere out there, right now, is a person who thinks they only have a penny. But they're wrong. They're holding a fortune. The only question is, will that person be you?